In this video, I want to give you an overview of B2B marketing options so that you can understand where each strategy fits and when and how it's best used so that you know when to apply each strategy in a way that fits your situation best. So you'll have push versus pull versus content versus branding. Pull is when people come to you. Maybe you create a web page that ranks in Google or something, and when people search for your service or whatever you do, people search and they find you. What's good about that? They already are searching for you right now. So right now they want it. You know that it's a match. Push is the opposite. It's when you reach out to people. You don't know if the timing is right for them. You're guessing that. And you don't truly know if they want it. You're guessing that too. You can be perceived as spam because when you send a message, hey, buy my thing, if that person doesn't need your thing, you're spam. And you have to realize that's where you might fall. So when you push, you got to be careful. On an ethical level, if you just want to make a quick buck, okay, fine. Nobody's going to police you. But I feel like you should police yourself. Because first of all, if you're spamming people, they're not going to buy stuff from you. The only people who are going to buy stuff from you are the people who actually do need your things. So the approach is to actually target better even when you push. And we'll talk about that extensively because it isn't like, let's say you're selling something to plumbers. Well, just because you have a product for plumbers doesn't mean that they want it. So the targeting has to be extra good, not just what you sort of assume is good. So what are some examples of like pull examples? General SEO, local SEO, when people search for your local area, when people are browsing maybe freelancing sites for services, when people are browsing YouTube, when people are seeking out either through search or browsing, literally like when they're in the process of seeking out, whatever the method of your target audience is to seek out your business, you have to try to understand their mental process, their steps, the nature of their behavior. Whatever their method is, you have to make sure that they just come across your company during their search or research. On the other hand, there is push. These are very easy to fall into on day one. On day one, you can do cold outreach, run ads, bombard people with social media things like buy my stuff, look at my product, look at my service. But you usually get low uptake on that on cold traffic because, again, you have no idea if they want it. You have no idea if the timing's right for them. If you think about how accurately you can guess the timing, I'll give you an example. Let's say something simple. Shopping for socks. How many times a year are people shopping for socks? Probably a total of 1 hour per year. Maybe a couple of times a year, 10 minutes each, or maybe one time a year, somebody buys 1 million socks or whatever. But 1 hour out of a year is devoted to shopping for socks. There's no way you're going to get that accurately if you are reaching out to people. On the other hand, during that hour, people are searching on Amazon, on Google, and if you are discovered there, of course, they'll engage with you. And then people ask, okay, so what about social media and content and branding? Where does that come long term? So if you use social media not to blast out your promotional messages, but to actually build an audience, create engagement, create a personal or business brand over time, and usually that's through creating content. That's how people find you. That's how people consume your content. That's how they begin trusting you. And content can be blog articles, YouTube videos, books, courses, whatever. As long as they come to your content, find it, consume it, like it. If that happens, then you get long-term branding. Let me explain how that fits in. It's different from pull and push because let's say Nike. Everybody knows Nike shoes. It's a brand. Am I shopping for Nike shoes? No, not really. But when I will be shopping for any sneakers, certainly Nike will be a part of my consideration because they're one of the best brands of shoes because I know that brand. So if you're working on branding and you're facilitating an audience, yeah, they might not buy now because they might not be shopping now, but they might buy in 3 months, in 6 months. If they buy in 2 years, like your business might be out of business by then. So certainly you do need people to buy sooner rather than later. You can't afford to wait as long as Nike can wait. But at the same time, that's what branding does for you. So in your approach, you can do just one, push, pull, or content and branding, or you can do all three. It just depends on how you prioritize things and how much time and resources you have to devote to these. All of them can work to some point, and all of them are more or less a fit for different situations. The job of this video, though, is just for you to understand the paradigms that are available and what's involved in them, like the cold outreach. Okay, you have to understand how you're going to be perceived. What are the limitations? Same thing with the pool. Of course, you want people to find you, but search is very competitive, obviously, so it's not that easy. And then the branding is great, but might not result in sales soon, which is what you might need. So all of them have pros and cons, and now that you understand them, you'll know better how to fit them into your overall strategy.